Hello, everybody, and welcome back to ZakIsCinema. Yes, welcome back, everybody. If you find that you've been on this long, treacherous journey all alone to find somebody that'll sit down and discuss different movies with you, and you still are looking and still haven't found anybody, well, buddy, you don't need to worry anymore because this is your sign that we have found each other to talk movies with. So welcome. Today we are going to be reviewing and discussing the movie The Conjuring, which came out in 2013. When a family moves into a secluded farmhouse and begins experiencing terrifying supernatural events, paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren are called in to confront a powerful demonic force in one of the most chilling cases of their career. So as we jump into the review and discussion for the movie The Conjuring, we are obviously getting ready for our new installment of the Conjuring mainline franchise with the ones with Ed and Lorraine Warren. Our last one, Conjuring: The Last Rites, coming out in just a couple days that I'm definitely looking forward to. So I thought I'd take a look back throughout this week at the mainline Conjuring movies. So we're going to be covering this one, the second one, and then the third one, leading up to the fourth and last one with Ed and Lorraine Warren supposedly here. But yeah, I was very excited to delve back into this mainline Conjuring universe. We're not going to be talking about the spin-offs. I don't have time for those. Maybe one day on the channel, so just the main ones. But this, especially this first one, and just this franchise and universe as a whole, has a really special place in ZakIsCinema's life and journey in discovering his love for horror here. I still remember how old I was, where I was when this movie came out and all the marketing was going on for it. It was a marketing experience like I've never seen before, how it was claiming to be based on a true story and everything, following these people who were real life people with Ed and Lorraine Warren, and it just all felt so real to me. And I think a big part of that was that I grew up in a very, very religious household, and movies and media like this I was never allowed to watch because they were explained to me as basically real things, and I shouldn't be poisoning my mind with stuff like that, I guess. And when this came out, I was around 13 years old, never seen a horror movie, never experienced that side of media, and this marketing and how they were playing up the real life events almost reminded me of how people must have felt when the Blair Witch Project came out and people thought it was real found footage. So I feel like I had a very similar experience to that. Just on the TV spots and the trailer alone, I was so petrified. I had nightmares. I had trouble sleeping. It was a mess, but it also it sparked a curiosity in me because I'd never had any movie, TV show, any sort of media affect me the way this did, and I didn't even see the movie yet. I never checked this out in theaters. I got past my nightmares from it, and we'll talk about it more, but I saw the second one in theaters, and that was one of my early experiences with horror, so I went back to this one, and like I said, it really woke in something up inside me, and I've been loving horror ever since. So I actually haven't watched these in quite a few years, so I was very excited to check these out and discuss them with all you guys. So let's start with the positive section, or just the things that I enjoyed most about this first Conjuring movie. And I think for me, I totally forgot how amazing this Conjuring theme music is in the score to the movie. And you get a great introduction to that in the beginning. That blaring, off-kilter brass instruments almost reminds me that like the instruments sound possessed in their own way. And I think it's just immediately unsettling and really helps to establish this movie's tone. And I really do love how they do a Star Wars-esque thing with that opening text crawl. I think it gives you enough context about Ed and Lorraine Warren and frames this story based on true events, which, you know, I'm not going to get into what your thoughts and opinions are on the Warrens. I'm kind of looking this as just a movie and how does it work based off just a movie. But at least to me, when a movie starts like that, it almost almost comes across as like a reenactment of true events, and I think it makes it even creepier. And when I was watching it the other night, it just put me back into my 12, 13-year-old self, seeing the trailers for the first time and seeing based on true events kind of gave me that similar experience. So to me, that just makes this movie even creepier. And I think to me, one of my favorite aspects of this movie is, yes, the setup is very cliche and something you've definitely seen before, and something we've seen James Wan do before in his Insidious movies as well, when you have a family moving into a new home, they're all excited, and it turns out the home that they moved into has this history and is basically possessed by the devil. It's a well-worn horror trope, but I think the Conjuring movie, especially this first one, shows exactly why this is a cliche in horror, because when it's done right, it is still effective. And I think this version is definitely still effective. It's executed with care, has some pretty good pacing, and has grounded characters and an interesting family dynamic that get you invested into the story. So even though it's cliche, I think it's a very well done version of it and shows why that is a cliche nowadays. I feel like James Wan in most of his movies has beautiful one-take sequences, and this one establishes the house and family very, very well when they're moving in, and you got the camera dancing all over the house, kind of showing the layout, the setting we're going to be in, but also showcasing more of that family dynamic as well. And I think it already starts to showcase the beautiful tension we're going to get in this movie. They avoid cheap jump scares, but instead create this atmosphere and sense of tone and dread in this home. For example, when the family, I believe the mother or father, first enter the basement, it would have been easy to do some sort of cheap jump scare or loud blaring music, but they don't do that. They just let the character and audience sit in that unsettling and creepy ass basement and then move on, knowing that we're going to come back to the setting and something's off with it, but we're not going to show you right away. And they continue that trend of just building tension and not really breaking it. For example, there's early signs of the hauntings that are small but still effective. The mother wakes up with unexplained bruises all over her. You got the family commenting on how cold the house is, all the strange smells, and all the clocks stopping at 3:07 a.m. After their first night or second night, they wake up and find their dog dead in the backyard. So it just nicely escalates naturally and in this disturbing way without just throwing all these cheap jump scares that would really break the tension in any sort of way. I really do like the house setting, and it puts me in this haunted house feel. If you've seen my Hell House videos, you know that I'm petrified of haunted houses because it just feels too real. And I think in haunted house type movies, it works well because there's nothing more vulnerable than something beyond the grave attacking you in your home. And I love the old school, old home that they're in, where it all just creaks. There's not an open layout concept to the house, but instead a bunch of rooms and a bunch of doors. So it gives me this feeling that there's always something hiding and around every corner. And I forgot how much I really do love that clap scene. I think honestly I might enjoy the first time they do that clap scare when the family's playing hide and clap. I believe it's just with the mother and the youngest daughter when everyone's out of the home, and we see the mother with the blindfold going around the home, and then we see those closet doors slowly open up and two hands emerge and do the clap when she thinks it's her daughter. And I just love how the demons and entities in this movie are just setting up scares by basically fucking with the family and trying to toy with them. And I found this one especially creepy because it's a demon just messing around with this mom during this innocent experience, just playing a simple game with her daughter, and the demon just decides gets to toy with her. Obviously, the second clap scene still hits hard. It's very, very well done. I remember it from the trailers. I wish they never spoiled that from the trailers because I think that would have been a better surprise to experience in the movie. Either way, it has great payoff because of how well it was established in the first 20 minutes, which is awesome. The family, but especially all the child actors, do a really great job in this movie. Their reactions sell the fear that the family is really going for. And I feel like if their performances didn't work, this movie really could have plummeted, come off as cheesy or just not as scary as it actually is. But because you buy into the family and all their performances, I think it only elevates this experience. I absolutely love the first scene, but also it does it throughout the movie when the demon entity is kind of pulling at the feet of these kids sleeping. And that first time one of the characters wakes up and then wakes up her sister as well and is saying that she sees something, sees a man standing behind their bedroom door in this dark corner. And that corner is so dark, your mind almost plays tricks on you, like you could see something and can't really tell if something's really there. So just that scene in a bedroom, waking up these kids when they're sleeping is so creepy. But I love that simple scare of pulling at the feet when you're asleep. And I remember seeing that in the trailers. I remember seeing it when I first watched this movie. Still to this day, even on hot summer nights, I still need to sleep with blankets, or at least part of the blanket covering my feet here. And I truly do think it's because of this movie, it's because of this scene that I just can't have my feet exposed at the end of the bed. Not that a blanket would stop a demon from grabbing me, but it does bring me some sense of relief. So James Wong, you have made me petrified going to sleep, that I'll always go to sleep kind of thinking about a scene like this. I also really appreciate the structure and pacing in this movie. I love how the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine, are introduced separately from the family. In that first 30 minutes of the movie, we're getting scenes with the Warrens, scenes with this family. So then it sets up that back half of the movie, the second half of the movie, to just unleash the horror on the Warrens and this family as they're trying to work together. So I like that they introduce them separately before they come together. That way they could focus on the scares after they come together and don't have to set up either the family or the Warrens, depending on who it chose in the beginning. Instead, the movie just decides to do both, and I think it works really, really well here. While I was watching this, what I thought my favorite scene or favorite scare was, and as of right now, I would say the one that sticks out to me the most, and I remember watching for the first time, that creepy visual of the witch hunched over on top of that closet dresser that we were talking about earlier with that clap scene. The way it stares at the kids in the room and it does that zoom in to her creepy smile and then jumps down on the kids staring at it. It's absolutely chilling, and it just reminds me of when I would sleep over at my grandparents' house and they'd have all this creepy old artwork and furniture, and I always just imagined waking up in the middle of the night and seeing one of my grandparents on top of the closet or the dresser. It always reminded me of that. I don't know, maybe my family's messed up or something here, but just a chilling scene like that is an effective jump scare, and just it still sticks with you after the jump scare has ended. And I really do appreciate how wild and almost over the top the third act goes, but still stays grounded in this Conjuring universe. It works, and instead of feeling cheesy, the chaos has real emotional weight since the Warrens and the family have been set up properly. I love that handheld shot James Wong does leading up to Ed Warren as he comes to realize that he needs to perform this exorcism himself, and he needs to do it right now, and it kicks off that last 10 to 15 minutes so perfectly. I think the possession scene of the mother and that exorcism scene in that creepy ass basement is so amazing, and like I said, it goes over the top, but it still feels grounded. To me, me, it almost felt like a mix of The Exorcist and like the serious moments in Evil Dead 2 just combined like that, and it works so well. I love how they tie the mom up in this chair. They put this white blanket over her, and as she coughs up blood, it gives a nice visual to the scene playing out. And then at one point, the blanket kind of rips, and you see part of the witch's face tearing through the sheet with great practical effects that is just so unsettling. And I love the point where the mom escapes and is going through the wall cavities and the underneath basement cavities of the house, chasing her daughter, trying to kill her daughter. And that scene is just so creepy because having somebody that you trust and love, like your mother, for example, chasing after you is just so creepy. Anyone chasing after you is creepy, but when you add your mother doing it, it's even more creepy. And I love when horror movies have a chase scene like this, and I like the practical effects on the mother, especially as she's changing into the witch and then comes back to her normal self, but you could still see the pain and decay that the witch took from her as it was literally feeding off of her and off of her soul. The mother's face just looks like it's in such pain and agony. I really do love the ending to this movie here. But yeah, let's jump into my mixed aspects for this movie. Now, I do like the Annabelle introduction, that opening scene in this movie. Just I remember it being a lot more creepier than it was this most recent time. I think it does a good job at establishing who the Warrens are and the type of work that they really do, but the acting and dialogue are unfortunately kind of rough, and I just wish the movie opened with something a little bit more creepier. I feel like it doesn't set the tone the best, unfortunately. And looking back on this, I'm really surprised that Annabelle got all her spin-off movies because honestly, I think she's the weakest part in the movie. I don't know if that's a bit of a hot take, but for example, that rocking chair scene with the Warren's daughter, it's creepy at first, especially because it was set up with Lorraine brushing her daughter's hair in that exact same spot. But the scare kind of loses me after Annabelle and that creepy person disappear, and then the chair starts like flying at the Warrens and bounces off the wall, and the CG on the chair, like they had a CG chair. You really couldn't just have somebody toss a chair at a wall. You had to CG it. It looks bad, and it kind of just takes me out of the moment there. So I wish the Annabelle stuff was better. It's not bad, but I just remember it being creepier, and she got all these spin-offs based off her little bit of screen time here. I'm confused as to why they didn't try to make that a little bit creepier, or at least to me, it didn't come off as very creepy. But yeah, let's jump into my negatives or the things that I just didn't like about this movie. And I feel like it was a huge missed opportunity to not have more of that mystery and discovery aspect in the movie, especially with how the Warrens learn about this house and the history attached to it. I mean, Ed and Lorraine Warren are supposed to be these paranormal investigators, and I feel like they land the paranormal side of it, but forget the investigative part to Ed and Lorraine Warren. Sure, they're setting up stuff in the home to capture evidence, but the actual research of the demons possessing this house, I feel like was such a missed opportunity. They meet the family, and at one point, I think Ed says they have a guy that could research the house for them, and we'll get back to you sort of thing. And then later that night, Lorraine has all the home's information, everything that happened with this witch, this mother, this sacrifice, everything, and just reads it out to Ed and reads it out to the audience. So I felt like not having that discovery aspect was such a huge missed opportunity. And I feel like Lorraine's superpowers here, her visions, the way she could see into things, feel a bit too convenient to me. For example, she's seeing the family and sees this floating black fog behind them, saying she saw the demons attaching themselves to the family. She touches photos with the mom and sees a memory at a beach, and it just starts to feel more like superpowers instead of intuition or spiritual sensitivity that I think they were supposed to go for. And it just makes it difficult to take it very serious, unfortunately. And I know in the positives, I was praising the ending, but I think there's one part to that ending that I just don't really like. The exorcism doesn't seem to work until they're chasing the mom through the wall cavities right before she's about to kill the daughter, and Ed yells, "I condemn you back to hell." And then suddenly the mom starts forming out of that witch, and then you got her whole family saying, "Fight for your family, remember your kids, don't kill your kids." And and then she like learns to overpower the demon. So I don't know, it felt a bit rushed and convenient, almost a little Marvel-y with the trope of family and friendship and love kind of saves the day. They're setting up something so amazing. Just the way they go about defeating it felt just very, very convenient to me. And it was a disappointing note to kind of leave off on, which was a fantastic movie in my opinion. But I would say overall, The Conjuring takes a familiar haunted house formula and makes it still feel very fresh. It has great atmosphere, strong character work, and the scares feel earned rather than cheap and lazy. So I'd say for my rating for this movie is, yes, I'm an ultimate fan here. I own it on DVD, got the Blu-ray box set, but I would say this is a movie I'd love to upgrade to 4K, and I would definitely do it at that full price because I want to own it. I want to have it as a part of my collection because it is a great horror movie. It's one of those early horror movies to me that really opened my eyes and made me realize I can have fun with horror instead of being petrified and praying to God for forgiveness. But yes, you guys have my thoughts here on the first Conjuring movie. Like I said, we're going to be covering the second one, the third one, leading up to our fourth one, but let me know your thoughts and feelings on this first Conjuring movie. What did you think about it when it first came out? Have you watched it recently? Have your opinions changed? Let me know all that information down below here. But that's about it. I appreciate anybody watching my videos, so thank you so much. And yeah, look forward to more ZakIsCinema coming very soon.